If you're fortunate enough to live near an art shop who stock Michael Harding paints, you might want to pop down and ask them if they have any of these little free samples. So Michael's put them in 3 primary colours plus white, not just any white but warm white, which is titanium white with a little bit of yellow ochre mixed in to emulate a lead white. It's made quite stiff as well, also to emulate lead white for those of us who aren't allowed lead white anymore. So that's the warm white. There's a lovely yellow lake, a really strong yellow. I'm trying to skip the white there, but yeah, a really strong mid yellow, very yellow. It's not greenish, it's not orangey, it's just really yellow. Same with the red, a real kind of pillar box mid red, neither too pinky nor orangey, fairly unbiased primary red. And likewise ultramarine blue, it is a slightly purplish blue, but still a lovely strong clean crisp blue. So that's just the colours themselves. If we lift them with a little bit of white, see what happens when we start to make some tints out of them. Obviously it's not pure white, so it's a slightly yellowish white, so actually that serves really well with the yellow to keep the warmth. And the yellow's a bit transparent, so adding the white actually gives it a bit more punch. Makes it seem a bit stronger in a way. So that's white into the yellow. Into the red, it makes a really pretty pink. Because it's a really middle red. Doesn't swing too much towards purple, and it's not greying at all. It's staying very warm. Into the blue, I guess it won't be as fresh as like a King's blue because there's the yellow ochre in the white, so it will make a slightly softer blue, slightly greyer, but still it's very pretty, very usable for skies. So yeah, there they are with the white. I thought I'd see how they go with mixing secondary colours. I mean, they shouldn't be too bad because they're fairly unbiased primaries. Obviously, to get a full gamut palette, I would want a double primary palette. So I'd want 2 yellows, 1 greenish, 1 orangey. But let's try here with the yellow lake and the scarlet lake. So they're both dye pigments. Lake comes from a liquid source, so they're very powerful. And fairly transparent. They're not completely transparent, but they're certainly not completely opaque either. And that's made a really good orange. Just a really good, solid mid-orange. I'm going to need more yellow to overpower the red and push it more to a kind of golden orange, but still, yeah, absolutely fine. Really good, solid orange there. It's not dropping saturation really, because they're both fairly clean colours. If we go with the yellow and blue, see if we can get to a green. I guess it won't be that fresh and pure because the ultramarine is a kind of purplish blue, so it's like we've added a little bit of red to the green. But actually it's pretty clean, isn't it? Quite a strong foliage, mid-value green. The kind of transparent nature of the yellow means we're getting quite a dark green. It's not completely transparent, but it does mix down quite dark, but that's great actually. It's a really usable green, good solid steady green. And the purple, not quite sure what to expect. It's not a very pinkish red, so it may not lend itself to a good crisp purple. The old sample tubes used to have magenta. If you can still get hold of one of those, that will make incredible purples because that's a Quinacridone pigment that will make the loudest vibrant purples you could ever wish for. But this red isn't quite so pinkish, so it's looking fairly brown at the moment. It's also looking very dark. So I've added a little bit more blue to move it away from the red a bit. It's weird actually, when I'm stretching it thin it looks much more pinkish. Where I'm putting it down more dense it's looking really brown. Let's see what it does with some white. Oh! There's a lot more purple when I put the white in. It's cooling it off. Okay, so you can make a kind of reddish purple with it. That's quite reasonable. Yeah. It's not a clean, crisp purple, but it is definitely purple as opposed to brown. So that's good. So what about if I was actually to try and make a painting? How would I manage these colours into something more, you know, more real, if you like? So I guess if we start with the idea of a sky, if I had a bit of a stormy sky, maybe I would want some, well, not stormy, but you know, maybe a bit overcast, a bit cloudy. Maybe I want a cloudy grey. Getting a good kind of lilac grey, a touch of yellow, we could neutralise that, I reckon. I mean, you've got 3 primaries here, so you can mix pretty much anything. There are going to be limits, so really, really strong greens are going to be tricky. And really clean purples probably, but other than that, you can pretty much get what you want. So that's not bad for a sort of cloudy purple grey colour. Again, if we want a really kind of blue-green turquoise, we might struggle. Let's see how close we can get to a kind of blue-green sky colour. Probably not that close, I would guess, but we'll try. So just the ultramarine and white, let's get to a kind of sky value. So it's fine for the sky directly above your head on a blue sky day, because that ultramarine's great for that. And the warm white is softening it just a little bit. But trying to get to anything more phthalo or cerulean could be tricky. It's kind of greying rather than going turquoise, isn't it? Not bad, but it's a bit dull. But you could still definitely make it usable for a sky without question. You just wouldn't get that really, you know, kind of aqua colour. But you can certainly get some very workable sky blue greys for sure. And sunsets won't be a problem with that bright orange and the purple. So it's not going to be a big issue with skies unless you want to paint some, you know, really bright Caribbean turquoise kind of sky. So that would do for skies. For grasses, so I'm thinking landscape first, obviously, because that's what I always do. So, so for grass green, that's not far off at all. You could make something more natural, more ochre-like. If you add some of the orange in there, we're getting fairly quickly towards something a lot more earthy there. For any kind of grass or foliage or what have you. A bit of white will flatten that to make it more ochre-like. And we could move that more towards something a bit like an umber, I'm sure. A bit of all 3 together maybe. Pull it off with a little blue. Getting more into a raw umber sort of colour. A bit more red, maybe it's to a burnt umber sort of colour. So it's not going to be challenging to get earth colours because you've got 3 primaries, so you can make them do whatever you want to do. So landscapes really are a definite possibility with your free samples. The consistency of them is really nice as well because they're just straight out the tube. The white is a bit thicker, it's a bit stiffer. I don't mind that, and it's mixing okay with these 3 which are looser. But if you did want to, you could just soften that white down with a bit of linseed oil before you start. And then what about flesh tones and portraits and that kind of stuff? I think if we take a bit of all of them here, see where that goes. That's also pretty reasonable, isn't it? And we could go sort of fairer skin, a bbit more pink, maybe too pink. Okay, so yeah, you could easily kind of get towards a fairer skin tone with it. And for a darker skin tone, we would just want more of all the 3 pigments. So just heading to a warm brown. Shift it more towards yellow if need be. I wonder if we can get a black. We should do, because they're fairly transparent. I mean, we're not going to get a pure inky black, but I think we can see there that the flesh tones aren't really going to be a big issue either. And so a black. Let's try just all three together should make us a pretty good chromatic black, though that it will be a little bit opaque, so it won't be completely dark valley, but gosh, it's pretty dark. And pretty neutral. I'm sure you can't see much on there. Let me just add some white to it in a minute and we'll see what we've got. It's leaning a little bit towards purple. Pull it back. Try and get it really neutral and then add some white and it will change colour completely, no doubt. We'll be able to see what I've really got. Yeah, it's pretty purple. Back to our storm cloud colour nearly, aren't we? But yeah, it will do black if we just keep adding more of whatever primer is absent, if you like. So if it's too purple, add yellow, blah blah. If you want more on the colour theory stuff, I'm making a colour lessons, mastering colour course on my online art school at school.vickinorman.com. So you can get lots of colour theory and lessons on there if you want to. And of course lots and lots of other colour mixing videos to be had on YouTube and my Instagram. So where else can we go with this? Well, anywhere I think is the answer, isn't it? Because you've got a really good balanced primary palette. So pretty much the sky's the limit with this. You can just go wherever you want to, colour wise. I quite like that purple. Let's see if we can get more pinkish. Stronger pinky purple. It's quite lovely. And then what happens if we add yellow to that? So now we're just kind of freewheeling. That's quite yummy, isn't it? The intensity in the colours is just yummy. They're so rich. It doesn't matter what you do, you get something beautiful. They don't go muddy. They just retain colour identity no matter what you do with them. You know, it's actually quite hard to get to a really sludgy, nothing colour. And even if you do, you just put a little bit of something else back into it and it comes to life again. Because the pigmentation is so high that the colour identities are really strong. So, you know, even if we start mixing everything into everything, you just end up with more and more beautiful greys. You don't end up with a palette full of sludge. All the colours you get have character. And that's true of all Harding's paints. That's why I love them so much. The more you mix them down, the more subtle and beautiful the colours get. But ending up with muddy sludge is not a problem. You just get subtle and beautiful. What happens if we add some black? Get a nice smoky pink. Nice earthy green brown. I could just go on forever. The possibilities are literally infinite, I think, with these three, plus the white. And once you've mixed your chromatic black as well, then you're off, aren't you? There's really no limits at that point. So there's just one or two things you can't do with them technically, because of the lack of a yellow green and the lack of a turquoise blue, and you know, no really strong pink. But other than that, it's, you know, it's pretty good. I mean, that's not a bad pinky purple there, is it, considering? I think they're pretty fab. I think you should get down to your local art shop and see if they've got some for you, to be honest. Go and play.